Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. This is Christy, and I'm back again with another amazing guest, Wendy Ellin. I'm so excited to have you on the show today, Wendy.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, gosh, we're going to have so much fun. You were kind of a new friend. Holy cow. I'm on this great multi-week Southern road trip. And one of my first stops was in Atlanta. And that was just 2 weeks ago. And we were sitting together in one of the sessions of this really luxurious spa retreat mastermind event. And I got to know a little bit about you, your story. I heard your amazing signature talk. And I just thought, I've got to get her on our show. So here we are.
Yay.
It's fun. Yay. So I know a little bit about you, not as much as I would like to, and I'm hoping to get to know you more as we, every day and week and months goes by, but I want to read your bio because you've got a lot of credibility about how you've kind of gotten to this place. So Wendy Ellin is a workplace productivity consultant, international speaker, and #1 bestselling author of Working from Home. How's that working for you? Her insights into living an organized life are shared in her presentations with irreverence, humor, and a level of passion that motivates her audience to take immediate action. Wendy talks about real life changes that we all experience, such as email overload. Heck, I think every business professional can relate to that. Being on time or not, reasonable expectations for getting things done, and much, much more. It is from Wendy's 20 plus years in the corporate arena that she drew from her own success by working smart, not hard, that inspired her to develop the tools and techniques for increasing workplace productivity and ultimately a renewed sense of peace and mind. Wow. So I heard a little bit about your story at the event, but share with the audience, why are you so passionate about this? What is the story that brought you to make this be your mission in the world?
So I was in corporate America for many years. I started out in the advertising business, and I started on the agency side, and then I moved over to the sales side. And I was 100% commissioned for many, many years. When you do that for a living, you don't eat if you don't sell, right? And I had always been disciplined in a way that I didn't notice other people being. And I even being raised, I was always one of those disciplined kids. And I found myself observing the way people operated in corporate America. Everywhere I went, I was watching the way people worked. I was so kind of stunned at how much dysfunction there was around me. People had piles and they were chaotic and they had this sense of overwhelm and they were always running late and they never honored their word about time and they couldn't prioritize their work and they had distractions. And they were multitasking versus focusing on one thing at a time, and all the things that really speak to somebody being disorganized. And I realized that I had a gift. I knew how to work smart, not hard. It didn't make sense to me to come into a space every day that looked like that functioned like that. I talk a lot about how I care about how your environment functions. And there are lots of environments that we're all dealing with every day: electronic environments, physical environments, emotional environments, spiritual environments. And so I left corporate America in 2000 after I had just had enough of selling radio. And I bought a company called the 25th Hour. At the time, I was not interested in buying a company. I was not interested in being a business owner. It never crossed my mind. I just knew I was done doing what I was doing. And somebody called me and said, there's a company for sale. I think you'd be perfect. And I'm like, I don't want to buy a company. But I met with them. And as it turns out, they were a personal concierge service. So the 25th hour, you need an extra hour in your day. You hire me and I run your life. And I did that for many years. I ran very crazy, wealthy, busy people's lives. And I realized many years into it that A, I didn't like what I was doing, but B, and more importantly, I was just enabling these people to live like train wrecks because they hired me and I ran their life. I had a keychain that was probably 7 pounds. And everybody's keys went with me wherever I went. And I would do everything and anything for anybody. And I realized that all I was doing was enabling them to live this way. And so I got to a point where I didn't want to do this for them, but I knew there was something else I can do for these people. And so I flipped the model of my business and decided that instead of you paying me to run your life, pay me to teach you how to live a life differently so you can run your own damn life.
Love that.
And that's when this business took off, literally took off. And it basically was, I looked at the way I operated from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed. How do I use my time? How do I navigate my space? How do I set myself up? How do I focus on what's important every day? All those things that I was doing naturally, I teach other people.
Yeah. Wow. So I like the fact that you saw something and you solved a problem, but you went to that next level. And then instead of helping them with your skills, you taught them how to adapt the strategy so they can be organized in their whole life in an ongoing way. And
yes, and it wasn't for everybody, Christy. A lot of people, they just wanted me to continue to run their life for them. They were fine with that, but I wasn't fine with that. So those clients went away. I just decided that's not what I'm doing anymore. It's not serving me well. People were calling me when I was on vacation. I can't find something, or can you do this for me? And Marty's like, no, we're on vacation. You're not answering these calls. And that's when I realized I needed to have a life.
Right.
They needed to have a different one. And then I started focusing on really mainly on the workplace. Because if you have a full-time job, you spend more time in that job than anywhere else in your life.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so I realized that the need, while it spills out into all parts of your life, if you're disorganized, the need really was in the workplace. So I went into major corporations and started working with managers and working with leaders and helping them set the example for the people they're leading.
Right. And then in the last 2 years, that need has gotten even greater because now we've got people that had their jobs that they would go to, but now they're having to create a space in their home where they can continue with their job, which is why you wrote this book.
Exactly. I literally will never forget March 16th when I was sitting in my office and looking out my window, and my husband backs up his convertible with his entire office in the car, with the top down, in March. And I looked at him kind of funny and said, what are you doing? And he looked at me even funnier and said, what do you think I'm doing? I'm moving home like the rest of the world. And it dawned on me, this is how it's going to affect me. Here I had been working out of my home office, Ruby and I, my little puppy and I, for 21 years. All of a sudden, there's somebody else under my roof every day. It took a while to get used to him being there and him trying to figure out what the best place to work was. But we got really intentional about where are we going to put you, where you can do your work and I can do mine, and the two do not meet. And we found the right space. But I remember saying to Marty, I got to go write a book about this because I want to be one of the first ones. So I'm leaving town. I'm going to go hole up in an Airbnb, South Georgia, and I'm going to write this book. And so I did. I literally got really focused. I was on a mission. I literally held up. I did not talk to anybody. I did not see anybody. I rented a space from a girlfriend. I wrote a book in a week, came back to Atlanta, and then proceeded to get it to #1 bestseller, and started reaching out to corporations to say, hold on a minute. This is your time. It is your time to offer this productivity toolbox as a benefit to your employees to get as much work out of this work from home experience as they can. Because, the great resignation, Christy, it's real. People are leaving their jobs. People are stressed out. They think there's something better elsewhere. And I keep saying, it's not what you do. It's how you do it.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you work for. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you do it. It matters how you do it. When you set yourself up for success every single day, and you have systems for your paper and systems for your email and systems for your calendar and a morning routine that supports you, your life will look much different and your job will look much different.
Yeah. And so I'm a very organized person. It's funny because I was at my friend's house and her cabinet is like a mess. And the first thing I did is I had to kind of like put things in place so you know where things are. And my brain just tends to work like that. So on one level, there are people that are so unorganized that they can't wrap their head around that. And for me, I love doing it. So it just becomes natural to me. So you've got those two variances. But then on the next level, even if you are an organized person, how do you know in business what tools you use? Because if you don't have the right tools to be able to work efficiently, it doesn't matter if your brain isn't organized, can compartmentalize things. You've got to have the right resources and tools to put these systems in place. And so that's what I love about what you do is, you may not teach somebody to necessarily have their brain work like that, but you're giving them the tools and the resources to get the same results.
Absolutely. I always talk, listen, the tools is the answer to everything, right?
Yes.
How many tools do we have in our kitchen? A gazillion. Without the tools in our kitchen, we wouldn't be able to navigate.
Right tools. Yeah.
Look at all the tools we have in our bathroom, right? We all have tools there's tools in every aspect of our life, but when it comes to work, people don't think about it in those terms.
Right. But
the bottom line is it's where you spend most of your time. How do you not have systems in the toolbox for how you get your work done, get the right work done, get the work done without stress?
And the right tools, because you can take off a tire with a tire iron, but you can take it off a lot easier and faster with a torque wrench, so it's having the right tools, and you've been able to weed through all of the resources out there and can provide people with the right ones that will help them achieve the goal that they're looking to achieve.
And here's the other thing. I'm not a one size fits all. I don't think that just because my paper system works for me, it's going to work for you. My theory is if what you're doing isn't working, why not try something else? Right. There are so many platforms out there right now, technology platforms to get organized. There's so many different task features on platforms. I don't use them. I use what works for me. But if it works for you, then don't fix it. Right. I mean, I'm very clear on, I never want to try and put a square peg in a round hole. This is not one of those things that's what's universal is that most of the world needs it. But what the it is can be different for everybody.
I love that.
Right? Everybody needs it, because I really do believe that when you have systems and you follow them, look, no system works unless you work it.
Right.
But when you work it and it works, boy, doesn't life feel better.
It does. It does. So let's take a quick break, because I know you have so much wisdom that you want to share. And I want to make sure that we keep the bulk of this session today, this episode today, all focused on being productive in what we're going to deliver to our audience. So let's take a quick break and we'll come right back. So hang tight, everybody. We're going to be back in a moment with Wendy and her productivity hacks. I know. You hear us asking you to subscribe, rate, and review, but what does that really mean? Is it really that important? Well, if other podcast hosts are anything like me, they've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their show. And personally, I get really discouraged when I have something great to share and no one is listening. Beyond algorithms, ratings and reviews are critical for a show's sustainability. It goes way beyond fanning the flames of our egos, or by getting a little that a girl pat on the back. Reviews create social proof and prove that our show has an engaged and loyal following. So, if you like our show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And while you're at it, pick up one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books on Amazon. You'll be glad that you did. Hello, everybody. This is Christy and Wendy with the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, and we are back. We're here to talk about productivity tips. And I know I am a half paper, half system girl. And like you said before we went on break, everybody has to use the right tools that works for them. So what would you say would be like the first tip our audience needs to think about to be more productive?
Okay, so let me just share a couple of things. So here's my theory about all this. COVID stirred the pot, so to speak, on this topic, because the reality of it is, long before COVID, I think most of the world was disorganized. Okay, COVID just shed a light on it, because now all of a sudden people are forced to live amongst whatever kind of situation they got going on at home. They now have to live in that space. Before, if you were disorganized and you were a mess, you left your messy home in the morning, you drove your kids to school, you went to the office, and you had some semblance of organization while you worked, right?
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, where you work is where you play. And if you don't have those skills, everything just manifests in a negative energy, is how I look at it. So, right now, a lot of people don't believe that they have a choice in the way they live. They're sort of complacent in their job. They're suffering in their chaos and disorganization. They're looking elsewhere because they think they're going to be happier somewhere else, right? They're not efficient. They're walking around with their to-do list in their head, which is just taking up space, which drives me nuts. They might not be advancing in their career. They have too much to do on a daily basis. And, I always say, what if you could have no stress about the way you operate? Can you imagine what that would look like? What if you got up every day and you knew exactly what you needed to do? You had a morning routine that supported you. You got to your office every day. You knew exactly what you needed to do today, not what you have to do, a laundry list that's staring you in the face of what you have to do for the next 3 weeks, just today, right? You got your home team situated so that they know what they need to do while you're getting your work done. You were realistic about your time. You had control of your calendar. Your inbox was at zero. You never saw another pile again. Like this is real. It is really possible. And, I gave this a lot of thought recently, where I'm in front of a lot of very smart, educated, and accomplished professionals, many of whom have an MBA. Some don't, but a lot of people that I work with have MBAs. And what the MBA does is it gets you the job that you have. But what I want for them, and really more than an MBA, is what I call what I have, which is an MSA. And that's a degree in mindset, systems, and accountability. Great that you have an MBA. But if you don't know how to do your job and you don't know how to operate in that amazing environment that you got the job at, who really cares, right? When push comes to be shoved, you got a resume that tells you where you've been and what the degrees are. But when you get in and do the actual work, life looks a lot different. So I'm going to chat a little bit about what's the MSA, right? The first letter in the MSA, the MSA degree, which I have. I don't have an MBA. I have a normal BA, but I far would rather have an MSA because I see where it's gotten me in life. The first thing is the M is for mindset. What's your mindset around this topic? Do you actually believe that you're disorganized? You were raised disorganized. It's the way you're going to be for the rest of your life, right? Are you maybe a parent who's teaching your kids how to live the way you are? I always say there's nothing more important when you're a mother or a father or a parent is to be a role model for your kids. And so whatever they're doing, what you're doing, they're doing, you can bet on it. So how are you not only setting yourself up for success, how are you setting up your kids for success? It's all about the mindset, right? You can only, there's a famous expression, I can only do what I can do. I hear it all the time. And I think instead of that, let's change that phrase to, I can only do what I think I can do.
Oh my gosh, that is so perfect. That's so true.
Because if I think I can do it, I can do it.
You can do it.
But if I can only do what I can do, that's a cop out. That's a letting you off the hook. It's like the word try. Well, I tried to lose weight. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I tried to get organized. No. There's no trying and getting organized. You get organized. You just keep sticking with it and you do it until you're there. But you got to get the mindset first, right? Because otherwise, the trying is just getting you off the hook. Most people, when it comes to this topic, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that it's easy. They don't know that it's sustainable. They think, oh my God, I've lived this way for 40, 50 years. There's no chance I'm going to be able to do it. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach an old dog new tricks if the old dog wants to learn new tricks.
Absolutely.
Right? So the first thing is, getting organized is a learned skill. Okay, you weren't raised that way. That's okay. I wasn't raised a lot of ways that I now am because I made the decision to learn something or be something or do something. So, I always say, I've been saying this for a long time, I'm the Weight Watchers and the smoke enders of getting organized. And
I love that.
What do you mean by that? And I said, well, think about this. Top 3 New Year's resolutions: lose weight, quit smoking, get organized. And what they all have in common is you got to want it bad enough. Now, I can tell you, because I've done all 3. Okay. I've lost weight a gazillion times. And when I lose the weight, it's because I want it bad enough. There's a big difference between wanting and choosing. Okay. And the change is in the choosing. It's one of my taglines for my business. The change is in the choosing. You can want to lose weight your entire life, right? There will be a lot of people in this world that will go down in their life wanting to lose weight. But when you choose to lose weight, that's a different subject. That's a different outcome. I'm the chooser. I make a decision. I'm going to do it. And I'm in for it until I see the end result. So the question always comes down to, what's in it for you to get organized? Why bother? Because I'm going to ask you to change the way you live. And on some level, that's not easy. So there's got to be a reward big enough at the end of this in order for you to do that. And so the reward could be, I want to make more money. I want to sleep better. I want to have better relationships. I want to be a better model for my kids. I want to have more time. There's a million reasons why people get organized. So the key is, what's in it for you? Got to really think about what that is and who you are in the world. And are you living in alignment with who you are? I always talk about that. The number one word to describe me is I'm reliable. I'm reliable. I do what I say I'm going to do. I can't not be that way. It's just who I am in the world. But in order to be reliable, I have to be a planner. I can't tell you, Christy, that I'm going to get you something on Friday if I don't set myself up to actually get you something on Friday. So instead of telling you I'm going to get you something on Friday, I'm going to tell you I'm going to get you something next Tuesday, but deliver it early. I am all about under committing and over delivering every time.
That's good.
So that's the Ammon mindset. It's the, who do you want to be in your life? And are you living in alignment with that? It's what's in it for you. It's deciding that you can do what you think you can do 100%.
That is good. That is good, because you're right. It is. It's in the choosing.
Yep. And it's about really figuring out, what are your core values? Like I said, my core value, number one core value is reliability, and I live in alignment with that. And you can choose your core values, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're living in alignment with them. But once you know what they are, it's easy for you to shift how you're living to align with them. So, without mastering your mindset, you're on this continuous spiral of overwhelming chaos, and you can't move towards something if you don't know what that actually looks like. And here's the other thing: you don't enjoy your current circumstances.
Right.
And I believe that joy is the answer to everything. I mean, we're all in this world to experience joy, right?
Yes.
Whatever that looks like for all of us. So for me, it's not spending a lot of time looking for things that I can't find. Like my husband, who always makes comments fun, jokingly, she's just organized because she's too lazy to look for things. And I'm like, dude, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm not too lazy. I don't see the point.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me to not put the scissor back where the scissor goes, so that whenever I want a scissor, it's there. Right?
Yep, I agree.
Yep. So, I have so many
smart.
clients.
It's not lazy. That's smart.
No, there it is. Back to that work smart, not hard. Okay. Next thing is systems. And the word system, guys, here's a really big aha. The word system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. SYSTEMS. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? So what systems do you have for yourself? John Dryden says, first we make our habits and then our habits make us. What kind of habits do you have, right? Do you have systems? I teach systems for paper, email, calendaring, focusing, prioritizing, follow up, self-care, personal growth. I have a system for everything and I follow it. Just like the keys that most of us put in the same place every day when we come home, right?
Well, we should.
Yeah. Why do you want to spend time looking for your keys every time you have to go somewhere, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. I'm going to say that all the time. It's like, I grew up, my mother used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's exactly the same thing with doing. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Doesn't matter who you work for. It doesn't matter what you do in the world. You could be an accountant, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you can be anything. How you do it will make a difference in your life, because without them, your income is limited. You stand to even maybe lose money, right? You have no self-worth. Your reputation is tarnished. You're always exhausted. You have no energy, and the list goes on and on. So I'm going to leave you guys with a gift, and that is going to be how to get your email inbox to zero, which is one of the systems that I teach. Okay, just so you know.
Yeah, because I think the great thing about this is, and we all know this, but for this particular skill set, once we've chosen to get ourselves organized, we have to have these systems. And I know email is a huge thing, but the fact that you can help people with so many other areas that you just mentioned by helping them streamline and get the results they want by just following a simple system.
Yep, that's it. It's just setting it up and following it every day, little steps. I'm not 100% organized. I believe in 80% everything. 80% is good enough. Stop trying for 100. It's why people don't get organized, because they're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to stick with it. I'm not going to be able to do it. So why bother?
Right. It's too hard.
Right.
It seems too hard.
We're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for progress. And then the last thing, the A in MSA, is accountability. And that's huge, because when you tell the world that you're doing this, the world can then hold you accountable. It's when you don't share what's going on. Like when I went on this program, this diet program, I told everybody I knew, and everybody was really, really supportive and was rooting me on and asking me how I'm doing. And, the more people you tell about making habit changes, the more support you feel,
right,
which is going to keep you going to that end goal, to that reward you have, right? So it's either a partner or it's kids or it's a team of people doing this. I always said, well, I have group programs where we're all in this together, right? I have a boot camp where people come from all over the country and all over the world to Atlanta for 2.5 days to learn how to get organized in every single aspect of their life. And they love this experience because there's only 12 people. It's really intimate. And you're sitting in a room with people who have the exact same challenges that you do. Nobody feels alone. Nobody's being made wrong for the way they live. If they're coming to me, it's because they are ready for change.
Yeah, I love that. I love the
which
boot
is
camp.
so MSA, mindset, systems, and accountability.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, being accountable is really the key to success in any goal we're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
Because it makes us, like you say, feel supported. And now we can't just back away, right? We can't just give up without facing the people that we've already told about that. And to have a specific accountability partner, I think, is even better. Because now, especially if it's somebody that's on the same path that you are on, which is why I love your boot camp idea, because now you can have that accountability partner that can understand the challenges that you're having, and you can support them while they're supporting you. I love that.
Yep.
Being in a community, I feel it's one of my values, is to make sure that I'm in a community that's supporting me and holding me accountable. Otherwise, sometimes it's hard to stay motivated and focused and doing the things that we know we should do.
Right. And you know what? Let me just say this to everybody listening. You are not alone in this.
No.
There are more people that are in this boat with you than not. Most people don't talk about the fact that they're disorganized. Nobody ever asks you when you're being interviewed. And even if you are, what are you going to say? Yeah, I'm a train wreck. Wendy, are you organized?
No.
Yeah. Well, I happen to be, but some people who will say they are because they want to get the job, they aren't. And then they don't talk about it when they're in their office. And it's you're not wrong for not having these skills, but you can learn them.
Yep. And even if you are organized, I find that a lot of people tend to keep piling more stuff on their plate. And so it's really critical to be able to be as efficient as you can, and then learn what to not do too.
Right.
So that's a key piece to it.
And here's the thing, Chris, I go into a lot of offices where they look organized because their piles are neat.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to me, organized means no piles.
Right.
Because I have a system for my paper, and the system does not include me flipping through a pile every day to remember that I have something I need to do in that pile.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So even if you think you're the most organized person, everybody walks out of a workshop with me, or everybody leaves this boot camp going, oh my God, I thought I was organized till I met her.
Right. Right. Well, there's always something to learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm excited to get this email inbox secret, or this gift that you're sharing, because I know other than just going through your emails and just deleting all of them, which is the wrong thing to do, there has to be a way to do it where we don't feel overload every time we open that stinking email box.
It's crazy. And let's say that, and let me just say this, it's not going away anytime soon.
It's not. And it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
I'm one that would rather pick up a phone and let's just handle it and then move on. But some people really like the back and forth emails, and it just becomes very overwhelming. So I am going to be one of the first people to opt in to get this, because I know this will really be helpful.
Yep. And so it's called the 6 Simple Steps to Inbox Zero.
I love that. Inbox zero.
Yep. And listen, I'm under no illusion that your email inbox is going to stay at 0. You might get it to 0 and get up and go to the bathroom and come back and you got 7 more in there, but you will get it down low enough that you will not worry about what's in the black hole of your email inbox.
Love that. So let me ask you a couple more questions, Wendy. I know you work with entrepreneurs or business people. Do you work with people in their professional life as well? I know you didn't mention that, but tell me a little bit about how you help people just be personally organized.
Okay.
Or do you just focus on business?
Well, I focus on business, but most people who hire me for business will then talk to me about personal, because it's still to their everyday life.
Kind of get together, right?
Yeah, I don't think that I haven't met too many people who are uber organized in their personal life, but not at all in their work. Right.
Right. That makes sense.
So, and I mainly really do focus on busy professionals, people who are working, people who want to do the same amount of work in less time so that they can have a life.
That makes sense. Yep.
And I just created a new product called Wendy Ellin's 3P Corporate Academy, which is a toolbox that fuels productivity, performance, and peace of mind. 3 Ps.
Love that.
I had so many corporations last year who said to me, how do I get my content in front of my entire organization of 15,000, 80,000? So I literally joined forces with a technology company that has my content now living on a platform, so that you can actually have everyone in your organization go through this learning journey. Okay.
Love that.
It's a journey. It's just amazing. It really is amazing.
So that was my next question. Then do you go and you do corporate trainings? Do you speak to corporations? If somebody was in a company, maybe they weren't even the decision maker, but they could maybe create that opportunity or introduction for you. How do you support companies?
So a couple of ways. Number one, I'm a speaker, an international speaker, right?
Okay. Yep.
So I have 3 titles for signature talks all around this topic, but they can talk to a team of managers. They can talk to entrepreneurs. I can talk to corporations, right?
Yep.
So I have 3 signature talk titles that speak to this subject only. I do one-on-one coaching for people who they're mainly entrepreneurs who are just really stuck and they can't move forward. And I help them with systems. And I do this boot camp that I'm getting ready to put on the calendar, which is really awesome. It's called Org Boot, which is a short term for organizational boot camp. And it's called Org Boot, the fast track road trip from chaos to clarity. It's awesome. And then I have Wendy Ellin's 3P Academy, which is for corporations. And a lot of times what I'll do is I will provide a Zoom or live, but right now mostly Zoom workshop for 50 to 100 people.
Like a lunch and learn kind of thing, right?
Well,
to get
so
them
they can
started.
Sample my content.
Yeah, get them started. I love that. Awesome. All right. Well, if anybody is listening and has this burning desire to be more organized, which I would say 80% of you listening probably should, the contact information for Wendy will be in the show notes below, as well as her link to get her free gift, her 6 simple steps to inbox zero. I love that title. That is so cool. So the link for that will be in the show notes below. And so thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate you spending the time with us today. Oh, and make sure you grab her book. What we'll do is we'll make sure that the link for your book is also in the show notes. So that way, if anybody wants to buy it, they can go ahead and grab it on Amazon, because I'm sure you offer a ton of valuable wisdom in that book as well.
And it's a great book for gifts. I mean, I've had so many people the holidays were buying gifts.
Right? Give it to your team.
Give it teams.
I love that. I love that. Do you have a way for bulk purchasing directly through you?
You come to me and I'll get you bulk purchasing. Yes.
Perfect.
Just email me at wendy@wendyellin.com for anything you need.
Yeah, because I think that'd be great, especially if somebody's in a corporate space and they will get the book themselves and they think, hey, oh my gosh, this would be really great for my team, my coworkers. Yeah, that's great that you have that option. All right. Well, I really want to thank you. If you heard this episode and you took notes like I did, and there was anything that you thought that you found to be really valuable, I really encourage you to share that with a friend. Not only will it help them out, but we learn more and we retain more by teaching others. So please pass it on, share it forward. And if you like our show, please go to whatever platform you listen and give us a review, subscribe, rate us, do whatever you can to help boost our ratings. So that way we can continue to get amazing guests like Wendy Ellin. Thanks, Wendy, for joining us. It was so much fun.
Thank you, Chris. Loved it.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing everybody next week. That is all we have for the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast today. Have a blessed day.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.